Ladies and gentlemen, Africa, welcome to Beginners Technical Production Conference. And today we are in studio with 5 incredible human beings who specialize in the live events industry, but we'll dissect that. So from my right, we have Joshua Kurtz, one of the dopest lighting designers in Africa, a true Pan-Africanist, by the way. And then we have Ole. Ole, man, came up with the most incredible name for himself, for what he does. Entertainment Technologist, there we go. And I like that because, you know, him and I are from the same kraal. And then we have Lefa, long-time person I know in the industry. Lefatiani, who's a project manager, one of the dopest. And we have Thandegile from Vision View, who is online. And hello, Thandegile. And we also have
Hi, everyone.
Rokunda from Director Row. Again, has amazing, a full page, an essay of, you know, different specialties and things that he does. One of the incredible young people to come out of the industry. So today is going to be an open discussion about the live events industry. Is it called the live events industry? Is there a different name we should give the industry? And maybe I'm going to ask you guys individually to just give us an introduction to the industry. What is this industry about? Or what is the industry? And do you really need an education to be in the industry? What job opportunities are out there? I mean, we have an audience here, young people who want to know about the industry. Maybe they are passionate about it, but they don't know where exactly to plug themselves. So, Josh, I'll start with you, brother.
Sure, that's many questions in one there.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
What is the live events industry? Yes, it is live events because it's multifaceted. Live events cover many things, from television broadcasts to theatre to concerts to any small piece of street performance that you might see in the street. There is an event of some sort being held. So, for me, it's about creating a piece of live art.
Right.
That's what I see it as.
Right.
So whether you choose your path in that, and don't, I often say to youngsters, there are many ways to go. You can't just be a lighting designer in the events industry. You've got to choose a discipline within it. Whether it be theatre, whether it be television, whether it be within theatre, you can choose ballet, opera to specialize in, you know. But
right.
I think each one of them is different.
So there are different subcategories to lighting.
That's it. You can't just, you know. So yes, you can choose many paths within the industry. Is kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I just want to level the playing field and bring in my queen, Thandegile. Thandegile. So you are from Vision View, and you guys are an outside broadcast. You have your own studio. So I'm a youngster. I don't know anything about TV, but I'm really passionate about television. So I come to you and say, I'm a young person. I'm not employed, but I have the passion. I can put in the hours to learn. If you were to take me under your wing, what would you introduce me to?
So Vision View has, I could say, a couple of divisions, right? We have an E&G side where, like, it's not live, and that's probably where you would start off. You'd start off like learning the basics of like how to do camera, then how to do editing, then how to produce, just so that you understand storyline, right? Because every production has a storyline in it. Whether you're doing a live football game, whether you're doing like a live event, there's always a crescendo or like the main act, and you're building up to that. So everything has a storyline. So everyone has to understand how the storyline works, and then you have to understand technically, because there's a lot of technical jargon. So if somebody says to you, "Oh, give me an MCU as a cameraman," you have to know what that means. And that's why, like, if you've gone to school, it's easier for you to kind of like learn how to work faster because you have the foundation. if you haven't gone to school, it's just a harder and longer process because you literally have to learn first. We live in an age where there's so much information on YouTube, like on the internet. If people have data to WhatsApp and watch WhatsApp stories, then I feel like you have data to check YouTube on a lower resolution and do research. So I would say that's where you start. You start trying to harness your skills technically. But COVID hit all of us, to be honest. So it's not like there's a lot of opportunities out there, even for like to work for free. That's what people have been doing. Is initially you could say, I want to work for free, I just want to learn. Now it's tricky because everyone is like, we can't take new people on because we don't know, like COVID and all of that. So it's really put a spanner in the works into how we generally work. You could get experience just by like giving your time. And then after that, you know better, you're more technically sound and savvy, and it's easier for you to go somewhere else. Now I think it's a lot more challenging, which is why I'm like, rather use the internet, YouTube, and just start watching things technically.
Yeah, Maradata. I'll come back to you. On that one. Rokunda, so, I've watched your journey and it's been an incredible journey. But I want you to share that journey. How were you introduced to the live events and technical production sector? And, what was your background prior to the introduction? Or was it nepotism?
No. No, it actually wasn't nepotism. So my story is a bit long, but I'll try and make it very short, right? So how it all started. So I have an uncle who is a sound engineer. Well, he used to be. Now he runs a company called Murangi Productions, right? So I saw him one time. He came to Venda this one time. I was still at school. He came to Venda one time. Back then, I think around 2003, 2004, somewhere there. He came there, he was doing a show. I refer to that day as the day that I lost my virginity in terms of this industry. Because that's when I was like, what is this? What it is? So he came there, he was playing a song by Worship House called Mifuru. That song has got a very strong guitar, and it was mixed nice by Dave Sticker. I staged everything regarding that style. He was still using analog, a GB4 analog mixer. And he had that whole long rack that has everything there. I was so confused. I didn't know what was happening. It was the first time in my life I see a mixer that has like so many buttons and meters everywhere. I was doing sound at church, but it wasn't really a passion or anything. I was just helping at church. So I used to play at church the instruments, and then I was like, the better boys came up that could play better than me. Because inside my spirit, I've got a very competitive spirit. So everywhere I want to try and be the best. So when someone who's better comes, it's either I move or I improve. So at that point, I decided, let me move and go somewhere. So I went backstage. I'm going to do sound. Then I started learning sound at church and church. But that day when he came through and he played that, it was a show in Shuma Park at Shindi in Toronto. He played that, and the very same day, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a sound engineer. And then from that day, I never looked back. It was the hardest journey of my life because no one wanted me to be a sound engineer. It was really, really hectic and bad. So I went from that to 2009, up until 2014, I was fighting to become a sound engineer. I did electrical engineering in the process. I did mechatronics in the process. Because where I come from, sound engineering is not a career. You don't do that. What are you doing? What is that? So they call it makatara. You're playing. So it's like it's something that you fall off to when you have nothing else to do. Then fall off to this because the exposure of things like this, where I come from, is not there. There isn't anything or any career guidance that says become a sound engineer. It doesn't exist. So when you tell them you want to be a sound engineer, it's a foreign thing to them. So fast forward 2014. Yeah, fast forward 2014, I went to study sound. Yeah?
Go on.
KG, can I get a... Yeah, so Fast forward 2014, I went to Academy of Sound Engineering. I studied sound, right? Studied sound 2014, 2015, and then I left. And then 2016, that's when my lighting journey started. That was the first time in my life I touched a lighting console called Everlight. And lights, because we're supposed to do a gig when she was recording Land of Judah, and where I used to work, there was no lighting designer there. We were still looking for someone to do lighting. So I stayed up all night with 330 beams and an Everlight, and YouTube opened. And I said, I'm going to figure this thing out. If it takes me the whole night, Oxal, I'll figure it out. I will know what these buttons in this desk does and what these lights do. So I sat there. People left the office. They came back in the following morning. They found me with cues saved of lights, changing colors and doing movements and all of that. And I was running all the lights on dimmers because I had no idea how to create profiles and there was no profile for it. So each light had 19 dimmers. I made 19 dimmers for every single light. I had 12 beams. So imagine how many dimmers I had. So 19 times 12, that's all the dimmers that I had. And I could control every individual thing on that light. That is how I learned lighting. From there, that's where my journey started up until where some of you see me today.
Yeah. So, Lefa, you happens to be the boss of everyone. Now, I mean, from a production management perspective, like, I mean, if I'm doing a production, you were talking about the hierarchy. Now, in the hierarchy of things, from the moving date to the last day, this production manager is there. So, you know, what is the story there? Introduce us from a production management approach and direction.
Going back to education, there is no replacement for education. I don't care who you are or where you're from and how you want to do it. There is no replacement. Every single individual needs to have some sort of a background education of that particular career, job, or something. What I mean by education, I don't mean like going to school and getting a degree. I don't mean like you have to go to universities and things like that. You need to have some sort of a background in terms of education. Learn your skill. Make sure that you know what you're doing. You need to understand when you're putting a light at this particular position, why are you putting it there? You need to understand if I'm putting a speaker, why am I putting it there? You need to learn what kind of a microphone that am I using. If you're designing, what software and programs am I supposed to be using and all of this and stuff. Now, that is one thing. And then in terms of the journey, I think Joshua actually touched, and Rakunda touched a little bit of that. Everybody's got their own story. Everybody has a long and probably not a very easy story to come from. I mean, if we have to ask each and every individual within this panel, they will tell you a seriously bad and horrible stories that they went through. So ideally what I'm trying to say is there is no easy road especially when it comes to our industry. Our industry is tough. Our industry is not easy, it's difficult. But what comes out of the difficulty is the most amazing product that anybody can actually experience. Within the industry, and I don't want to be specific and say live events because, you know, our live events is so big, it's so vast, it's so wide, and it's got too many hands and too many fingers. You need to have a central point where information is being distributed from. The production manager or the director, all the way to the security personnel right at the gate. Now, that particular central point needs to distribute information. Guys, the most important thing about in our industry is to ensure that everybody has the right information. That is the key thing. The worst thing that anyone can be anyone can be able to to say is, oh, I didn't know. Because now, if that person didn't know, that means the production or the project manager did not do their job. How the security needs to know that, oh, at this particular time, we need to be able to open the gates. The artist needs to know that at the particular time, I need to be on stage. The band, the keynote speaker, the guest speaker, the microphone that will be roaming around within the audience someone needs to take that microphone there. Now, you're asking a very good question, but within that question, as big and as vast as our industry is, that central point which needs to distribute information is very key. And I know most people actually take that for granted and nobody actually notices who's actually doing that. Because one thing that, in fact, let me just backtrack a little bit because I'm getting warmed up now. Yeah. There's a reason why we do what we do. I mean, I remember one time somebody asked me like, oh, Btpa, do you actually meet these people? I said, yes, I don't just meet with these people. I communicate with these people. I talk to these people. These people come to me for help. You get my point? And when I'm saying these people, I'm talking about your celebrities, people, you guys, people, like these people. I said, but you need to understand, everybody depends on one another. They depend on me. I depend on the lighting person. I depend on the trucks. I depend on the lighting designer to do their work. I depend on the sound person to do their particular work. I depend on that particular security, the medics and everything. Because if there's a link in the chain that is broken, that production is doomed to fail. So we need to, as a part of what I do, I need to ensure that there's a connection, there's a link, that there is unbroken link. There is everybody who's actually there to be able to do what they're supposed to do.
So I want to go to our audience now and find out if is there a question, is there something that you want to know?
All right, so what I wanted to find out is your job entails dealing with a lot of different personalities. You deal with egos, you deal with people that think they're great at what they do at that point, and now it becomes a clash of how do you deal with different personalities at that point? How do you get someone to listen to you at that point? How do you get them to hear you out?
Being in my position, you're right. You're dealing with too many people, too many characters, too many, especially egos. But you know what works? Knowing your story. When I come to you and I tell you, brah, from here, this is the path you need to go, you need to take. But if I tell you with a sense of confidence, you believe what I'm telling you. Even if you're not sure, if I say to you, this is how you're going to do it, this is the way to do it, and this is how I want you to do it, and I say it with passion and confidence, you listen. But if I sit here and then everything that I just said earlier, and then you sense a little bit of doubt in what I'm saying, tell me, would you believe what I'm saying? Definitely not. But the moment I say it, then it's different. Now, yes, you deal with a lot of, a lot of political, we're dealing with presidents, celebrities, artists, crew, CEOs,
lighting designers,
different people. Lighting designers. Oh goodness! Yeah. People from different walks of life, different creed, different religion, different races, and then so. But what I find working more than anything is when you know your story, people listen to you. You need to do your homework. You need to understand why we're doing things. Why am I putting this particular thing over here? Why am I putting this table over there? But that comes with a lot of experience. Remember I mentioned education earlier? Education, it doesn't go alone. Education comes with experience. I need to be able to know what Ole and Joshua knowing what they do. I need to know what KG is actually, as a client, what is actually is in their mind and be able to advise. In other words, what I'm saying is I need to be able to have control of the production in my own hands. You get my point? So just to answer your question, know your story, do your background, and then do your preparations.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, like, to go back to what Lifa said in terms of like taking charge. What we do is we always have production meetings, and before the event, we have a pre-production meeting so that everybody, even though you know what you're supposed to do, we run through what everyone is supposed to do.
Right.
So that everyone is clear on the day what they're supposed to do. So that you don't have what he was saying about like, I didn't know, right? And I've often found, I think Joshua mentioned that he saw that that wasn't his strength. I've often found that, like, even if it's not my production, if I can see something is going to go awry, like if it's going to go wrong, I will then just take charge because that's who I am. Like, every production I work on needs to go well, you know? So if I can see that, okay, cool, we've got a guy like Joshua who's not at the level where he's supposed to be, I won't expose him. I'll just take charge and be like, okay, cool, Josh, this is what we need to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody, this is what we need to do. 5, 6, 7, or 8, so that everyone is clear and that the ship must go, right? And I think Lifa touched on it about being on time. Like, events run on time. Like, and if people are late, we always say in TV, you're as good as your last job. So if you are not gonna adhere to time and you're not going to take direction properly, like, then you just won't get booked on the next gig and you won't work. And the person asked a question about dealing with egos. The way I have found on my journey, because I started off as a camera operator and I moved up to being a content producer, you need to respect people. That's where it starts. You need to approach people with respect. And like, if somebody is going high because like, oh, they're angry, whatever, if they go high, you go low. You start to speak softly. You start to tell them, I'm not fighting with you. I need 1, 2, 5. And when you approach people with respect, and when you, like you were saying, know your story, when you've walked the road and you know your job really well, it will come through in how you deal with people. And people will listen and they will take direction from you because you come across with that confidence, as Lifa was saying, that I know what I'm talking about.
And Rokunda, I'm going to bring you on this particular question, or something that is really bothering me, Josh. I don't understand why the industry likes working with multifaceted individual and different specialties. So you're a lighting designer, you're a sound engineer, you are a stage designer, you are audio-visual, and you are graphics. Now I'm thinking, bro, you know all these things. Why can't you just focus on one aspect and be the dopest lighting designer ever, right? One, which then leaves out like 4 other opportunities for other people to come and do the same thing. Because, and Lefa, you were saying this, in America, they only focus in their specialty and that's it. I know they taking it further though. It's like, okay, there's a guy who's a sound engineer behind the desk, there's a monitor engineer, and then there's a flow or a mic engineer as well. There's an effects guy as well.
I think our industry is different to that, and I think it's a great thing in that way. That like you said, you specialize, and I think one will eventually specialize in what you're doing.
Right.
But don't try and specialize completely from the beginning. Be multifaceted in the beginning. Absorb as much as you can from all the disciplines. See what they're doing from camera's point of view, from sound point of view, from lights point of view, from production point of view, generators, power, rigging. There's so many things. Just absorb it, feel it. You will naturally start progressing towards where your strengths lie. Don't force yourself, don't fight the process. You will become better at something and you'll know what that is.
Yeah.
Once you know what that is, then specialize. I specialize now only. Don't ask me anything about audio.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
I've got a basic understanding. A video I can do from production point of view.
Right.
And production management, no.
Yeah.
Don't go near that for me. So lighting, yeah.
Yeah, I think for learning purposes
Right.
of understanding how this whole machine of the live industry works,
yeah.
then yes, have information about all these disciplines in there. And then once, like Josh is saying, while you're on that journey, you will obviously go to that one specific thing that you like, that you're passionate about, while understanding how all these other parts play a role. I guess also it goes back to your egos. Though artists, for example, they're very egotistical. They know they've got a part to play in this whole production. We know we've got a part to play in our production. If he comes to me with an ego and I'm the sound guy, for my braid, I will respect him, I will do all those things. Although he might come personally. Now, we're talking real stuff. We're not sugarcoating anything, right? But I need to understand that for me also to get paid at the end of the day, this guy must perform.
Yeah, this one is a bit very personal to me because I've had people come to me personally and say, dude, why do you do so many things? And sometimes, depending on whether I have time or not, I'll tell them because my brain can handle it. But mostly what I've learned is that the specialty comes from all of those things. I have started watching a lot of videos of guys that specialize in things. And when I go back, I realize, for instance, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Like most of my data goes on YouTube, but I'm seeing what these guys do. And I've noticed that a lot of lighting designers, for instance, they know After Effects, they know Premiere Pro, they know Adobe Photoshop, they know Capture, they know Vectorworks, they know how cameras work. They have different streams. The same people that we look up to, and we because what we know most about them is the specialty that they choose to portray. We don't know what they know in the background, and what they know in the background is what builds who they are. So my thing is, personally, I'm going to talk about me personally because I do quite a couple of stuff, which I have literally, I stopped doing sound at some point. I was just like, you know what, I can't do all of this. This is a lot. So anything that I do has to do with lighting. But then I get a call from a guy that I once did sound for, and he says, I prefer the way you do sound. Please help me out with sound. I'm like, dude, I don't do sound anymore. He's like, no, man, come on. Have you forgotten how it works? I'm like, no, it's not that I've forgotten. I've taken a decision.
I think what Rukunda is saying is that when you walk your technical journey, like I think Josh said, absorb everything, right? And in your absorbing everything, you can actually get good at a lot of things. And because you get good at a lot of things, people then say, no, but you know, I once worked with this guy and he was able to get this right. So let me go back to that guy. You could have moved on 5 steps, but because a particular person at a particular time liked how you did it, they're going to remember you for that.
We'll be back after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beginners Technical Production Conference. We are here in this lovely setting with Joshua Kurtz, Ole, Lefa Tiane, we have Mr. Shilubi, Ke Rokunda, and then we have Tandegile. So before the break, the conversation was getting heated, but now we're coming back with some questions from our audience, live audience, studio over here. And it's Shailin is on, come on. It's on, come on, yeah. Okay, so I'll start way at the back. Okay, yeah.
All right, I have 2 questions. My first question is, like, what is being done or what should be done to make sure that there is diversity within the industry in terms of culture and race, and what should be done and what is being done to make sure that there are enough young people, there is enough fresh energy in the industry to keep it going. Another question is, like, what is being done to push the envelope in terms of, like, there is an outcry from the general public and the audiences, like, countrywide about the broadcasts being monotonous, like there is repetitive content out there. So what is being done to push the envelope to ensure that
like there are multi-dimensional aspects of South Africa being explored. So yeah, those are the two questions I have.
All right. So when it comes to diversity, this is what I always say. And unfortunately, when you speak of things like this, the gender card comes up, and also the race card comes up. And I always say this, and I'm gonna say this as blunt as possible. Black people need to stop being lazy. This is, in my opinion, we don't learn. We don't want to invest in knowledge. We don't want to. It's always excuses after excuses after excuses. And now you want to be given the same opportunity as someone who spends 90% of their time learning their craft and getting to know what it is that should be done just because you're black. It doesn't work that way. It should be an issue of saying, because I've noticed in a lot of conversations that we have. I had a conversation yesterday with some of the guys who were talking about why is it that we black people fail so much in doing in delivering the services that we're supposed to be delivering. And one of the biggest issues, it's not a matter of that we need diversity. We need to be worth that people must call us for jobs. It shouldn't be a matter of race. It shouldn't be a matter of saying who should do it or who shouldn't do it. So I should look at Ole and Josh and not judge them based on the color of their skin, but the work that they deliver. If I look at Ole and I give him a job because he's a black brother, not because he's better than Josh, then something is wrong. So the first thing that needs to be, I don't know what is being done about diversity, but the first thing that needs to be done for me, it is not to look for black people and give them as much jobs as white people. It's to look at people, give them what they deserve, give them what they are worth. If you are good enough, get a job, whether you are black or you are white. If you're not good enough, go sit at home or go do jobs that are worth someone who's in your level or your standard. Your standard should not be based on your color of your skin. Your standard should not be based because whether you're from the same hood that I'm from or we grew up together, because that is what messes up the whole thing about diversity. And now people then come back and act as victims to say, yeah, we're not getting jobs because we're black. No, you're not getting jobs because you don't know what you're doing. If you knew what you were doing, there is black people who are getting jobs. It's black people who are getting jobs that you say you're not getting. So the issue is not the skin, the issue is the delivery. So it's two ways. I'm going to get to the second part. The second part now is client and the budget. So a client, there is no client who is willing. Okay, I can't say there is no client who's willing, but most of the time, if me and Josh walk into a room and Josh says, give me X amount of money to do this, and I say, give me X amount of money, that is exactly like Joshua's one. Whether or not they know our job or they don't know our job, Josh is going to get the job completely. Whether the client is black or white, it's one thing that it's always there. Josh is always ahead of me because of what it looks like. But it's not necessarily because of what it looks like. It's because of what everyone who looks like Josh has done in the past and proven how good they are. And what everyone who looks like me has done in the past. So the first thing that needs to be done to create diversity is black people need to learn, read, study things, know what you're talking about, understand what you're talking about. I was talking to the gents yesterday. I was with a couple of guys in the industry yesterday. Like enough, it was a lot of us combined in one space doing one event. And we had this whole conversation around to say, guys, look, the issue is we don't know what you're doing. You can't explain what you're doing. When you stand behind the lighting console and I ask you, what does this button, do you know what it does, or you were just taught that if you press it, this happens? Do you understand? I even called Ole yesterday. I don't even remember. I called him yesterday because there's something I didn't understand on the lighting. They say, hey, how does this work? Because that's the problem that we have. We don't want to learn. We don't want to ask because pride is the biggest thing that a black man can ever have. KJ doesn't want to know that Rokunda knows that I don't know. Okay, Rokunda doesn't want Ole to know that I didn't know this. So the diversity can never be there until we start to understand that one, we are one industry. The industry that has nothing to do with race but skill. You get a job because of your skill, not because of what you look like. So if me, I can get a job and deliver, and George can get a job and he delivers, then the diversity will be very, very simple. That is my 2 cents.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thandekile uyabona manje le question yakho sebayipozile. Let me come back to the studio and no, I want to give Josh an opportunity to go for first. See, we give people opportunities.
We're in the same room, and now I'm chosen first. Oh,
I'm joking, man. It's a joke.
I think a lot of it has to. I think a bit of what Koji's saying and a bit of what Rakunda's saying is very similar. Rakunda is, in essence, is saying education. Education on your level that's your responsibility. Only you can be responsible for that. So you've got to do your best at your education in terms of what you learn. In terms of the people in senior roles and our responsibility, it's our job to educate the clients to start trusting people of diverse natures better, because I've found that there's not a lot of trust, and it's stupid. It's not something you can't say why somebody trusts somebody else. I can't say. I know who I trust and I know why I trust them, but I can't speak for my clients. All I can do is educate my clients to trust in diverse abilities more, and that's my responsibility. But education is on your level, and I've said that you've got to aim higher than me, aim past me. Don't see me as where you want to be. See past me. You know,
That's
and
dope.
that might help.
Whoa, thanks for that, Josh.
The issue of diversity, it's a very complex one. It's got a lot of subtopics in it. For speaking specific to the industry, it is slowly getting there, but not at the speed that we would like to see. And proof of that is we've got women coming in. Because diversity does not only speak on color. You get what I'm saying? So we are slowly getting there. The fact that we are sitting here today shows you that movement. Because if we were to argue, I would say the issue that we are having now with the race card is due to access, which boils down again to nepotism, that his dad, who is white, has the money, he starts this, he has access to all these things. You are sitting in Ivory Park, you have not seen this. It's not that you are incapable. It's that the access that exposes you to these things, it's not there. It's far away. You have to leave Ivory Park to go to CBD. You have to leave Ivory Park to go somewhere else so that you are exposed. Then again comes the problem. After you're exposed, when you go home, still, you have to go back. Now, going back is money. Going back is all those things. So it boils back to the historical disadvantages that we have. You get what I'm saying? But now, for you guys that are coming in, I think many of us have shown you. Back in the day, we could not sit like this. This is the change that has been happening in the country and has been happening in the industry. If going back to Rukunda's example, if him and Josh walk in, for a lot of people, yes, trust is an issue. But then again, we walk in, I'm more live. Josh is more comfortable and more mastery in the television sector. You get what I'm saying? We are both, we would say, we can have similar titles, but we specialize in different things within the same industry. So if that job is specific to Josh, it's not that he's white.
Yes.
It's specific
He's
to
the
him.
master.
He's the master of that.
Yes.
Therefore, if I don't get it, I should not say it's a race thing. But then again, for the fact that I was there in that meeting says I've gotten my education, I've pushed to the level. So when it comes to I'm gonna just say it. With experience and education, we are on par. There's no race card. But the specification that the event needs does not favor me. It favors Josh.
And vice versa. Though.
And vice versa.
Yes. It can
You get what I'm
happen that
saying?
It doesn't favor Josh.
And it favors me.
And then the both of you should be able to walk away and say, I'm the better person
Exactly.
for the job. No color.
No
needed.
color, nothing.
Like what,
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's there, but it's not moving at the pace that we would like to get to.
Yeah. Okay, Lefan?
I'd like to take us back. You know, in fact, because it seems like we're the oldest guys here. But I'll explain. You know, when we started, I'm talking between myself and KG, guys, we were not even allowed to touch a desk. I'm not talking about any other thing. We started, our job was simply that we come in, we load the trucks or the containers, We set up and then we leave.
Or sit around someone.
Yeah, someone
for
backstage,
coffee.
back under the stage or whatever. We were out there. It took us many years to actually to get to where we are right now. We managed to break through. We managed to break the chains. Now, you guys have an opportunity. Yes, indeed, we have a historical background that is, also you need to remember a large percentage of the industry companies in the country are owned by white people. You can't deny that.
Say that again. Say that again.
I'm saying a more percentage of the industry is, especially of companies, is owned by white people.
No, but yes.
Okay, this is what I mean. But at the same time, lots of black companies are emerging. Lots of them. So you guys have the opportunity to not to go through what we went through.
Yeah.
Now this is a good time.
Yeah. And these guys don't give a damn about.
These guys are awesome. Yeah.
You see, I've seen how these guys interact with.
So you don't have to go through that because the way has been paved already. You spoke about nepotism. It's a typical example. You can actually start your own company with that R1 million by starting to learn what Rukunda was actually saying earlier. You need to study, you need to work hard, you need to do all of this. Here, when opportunity arises, you need to grab it by both hands. Trust me, the mistake that happened many years ago was for one particular show that I was allowed to run, and I ran it and I never looked back.
Wow. You ran it well.
Because I ran it well. Because the opportunity presented itself and I did not mess it up.
When you talk TV series and whatnot, like they basically have that on lock. And I think and that's the broadcaster choice, right? The broadcasters decide what they are going to buy, what they're going to invest in. And maybe I'm the wrong person to speak on their behalf, right? Because the broadcaster decides that my market wants this, and if this has succeeded, then I'm just gonna go with that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I think they basically take that line. But so if you feel like but with the advent of Netflix, and there's a lot of other platforms. I think as Vision View, we've launched an app, a TV app. So I think people are aware that like they are getting the same thing and they're looking for different things. And that's why there are different spaces for you to consume different content. And I watch a lot of local content to see what are we doing, right? So yeah, you just have to consume it in different spaces. A lot of people are YouTubing, putting their stuff on YouTube. So and linear television is dying, if I can put it that way. Like
No, it's dead, bro. It's dead.
Watching adverts,
Yeah.
it's dying.
No, it's dead for me.
People wanna
Yeah.
content when
Yeah.
they want to consume content. So and I think that's why we now have DSTV now, we have Showmax, we have a lot of these places and spaces. Some people subscribe to Amazon Prime. So like there's a lot of spaces to consume different content. Netflix is investing in like South African content because that was a complaint. So like we do have the opportunity to consume different content. And now with the technological age that we are in, you can even shoot your own content and put it together and upload it, and people would like it, and either like it or share it, and you can build your own profile like that. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for a new access point. The stuff that you see, it looks the same because the budgets aren't that great. So I mean, those Mzansi movies, I think their budget is like 40,000. So that's not a lot of money because you're paying actors. You must still have location things. So it's not as much as people think. So it's not like Hollywood. Don't look at American television and think we have the same budgets. No, but what you do is you make it work. And I think a lot of the financial model that a lot of South African companies take is, I'm going to take like lots of jobs, small jobs that pay a lot, and then so that I can do lots of things. So if I'm gonna make 4 Mzansi Magic movies, right? I'm gonna use the same actors, I'm going to use the same location, but I'm gonna change the storylines to maximize the money that I'm getting.
Right. Is that
You
why
understand?
then, yeah,
So-
it makes
so-
sense. Is that why we
that
see a
is
lot of
why
same
things start
actors?
to look the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because
Great.
what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, first of all, make sure that an actor has a job, which was something that was not happening in the past. So now I'm going to say to you, instead of me calling you once for like one movie or for one TV production, I'm going to call you 16 times. So now you are actually working more. You now have the opportunity to buy a house, buy a car. So in that way, it is growing the industry, but I guess it's also still making it small. But that is one of the reasons why you see that things look the same. Like you're seeing the same actors all the time, because the producers are just trying to make the little that they're getting work.
Okay, my question is, throughout the journey that you guys have taken, what are the challenges that you faced? How did you deal with them?
2 years ago, I attended a conference in London, right? And then I remember there was a topic in one of the conferences that, you know, they were talking about what happens to the technical people after so many years of touring. So these are few challenges. I'm just going to label them, and I'll explain why I'm actually making that example about those guys. One challenge that you need to understand in the industry is not that big as we think it is. Yes, we may do big productions and all that, but the industry is not really that big. And it really doesn't pay that much when you're first starting. That's number 2. Number 3 is you start as a freelancer. If you're lucky, then you'll do like a permanent job and all of that stuff. So chances are you'll start as a freelancer, and with being a freelancer, you do not have an opportunity to have a house, to have a car, to be able to feed your family and your children. Then you have challenges with that, because only when the jobs comes in, then you'll be able to get work. And then that as a whole leads to other things as well, like substance abuse. Now, coming back to what I was actually mentioning with the conference that I attended in London was this, that they did a survey and found out that most touring people, after they toured, they're old and used and abused. They're coming back. They had already married. They had families, but because they were spending so much time out there, those things are gone. So by the time they come back, he's been touring for 20 years, but at the time he comes back, their children are actually, they married, they have children of their own, they even have their own families.
So you couldn't even attend the
Exactly, because you've been touring. Because remember, guys, when you tour with all these big production, you don't just spend 2 weeks, you spend years in doing that. So, like a soldier, you are out there in most of the time. Now, they come back, and then when they come back, they don't even have they don't have a place to stay. Because one, you remember, when we do tours, you are out there, you're living at the hotels, you eating takeaway foods, you do all of this other stuff. Yeah, you end up getting involved in substance abuse and all the whatever comes with it. You know, when I remember many years ago when I got a permanent job, I only realized when I got my first flat that I don't even have a spoon. It's a simple thing, but a spoon. You get my point? Then now I have to start again. I remember when I left Johannesburg, I went to East London. I had my bag. I didn't know where I was going to stay. I didn't know what was happening with me, but I only realized that I don't even have simple basic necessities of life. And then that's when it started. And then fortunate enough, my mind was shifted into something else, and then I started realizing it. So those are some of the challenges that every or almost all the individuals in our industry faces. To actually have I don't want to call it a stable life because our industry is not stable. You get my point. That it's not like me working in a bank where I work 9 to 5. Our industry works for you only finish when the job of that day is done. If you're not finished, you're still gonna work. He mentioned, or kind of mentioned earlier, that he had to learn the desk right through the night. I don't know how many times we've done right through the night, and then you know what, it actually becomes part of your life. Some of us are fortunate enough to be where we are, but Josh mentioned it. It doesn't come overnight. It takes forever. It takes a very, very, very long time to get to where you want to be.
One of the challenges that I've had was to kind of navigate between the two, because you go into this industry, your colleagues start becoming your life. You go away for all those years, they start becoming family. When you go back to your normal family, it's like trying to adjust to all those things. So that's one of the challenges that you might face, depending on how far you go into this thing and where you want to see yourself. You can take your family with you, but there are challenges, like Rukunda said, where your family does not believe in what you want to do. They don't see a future in what you want to do. But then again, it's also a problem of what I spoke about, access. They haven't seen it. They haven't seen a black man doing these things. The last time they saw it was the 4664 concert, where they only saw white people in black t-shirts, and then they have their own thing. They've never seen a black man doing that. Because also, your video guys most of the time, they'll not show us, and we've that's normal. We are behind the scenes. That's why we were black. We are not to be seen. So getting your family also to understand those type of things becomes one of the challenges, because now it becomes a lonely road. And the only people that will understand you are the people in the industry. So you start that gap, bridging that gap is a problem. And the solutions there's pressure in this industry. It's strenuous, it's all those things. Many people run into those type of substance abuse as a solution, but there's many other. And substance abuse is not only the only problem. There's the mental problems as well. Think of what Lefa was saying. You've been on the road for 20 years. The last time you left your house, your wife or your girlfriend was pregnant. You come back, this guy is getting married.
And your wife has another kid.
And your wife has another kid. You understand? That bridge. You get what I'm saying? So it can also mess up with your mind. So you need what we call an output. The psychological guys will tell you it's an output. Something that you do outside your daily work. Like if you are in this industry, you're always on shows and all those, go hiking, go clear your mind.
Yeah.
Do something else that does not form part and parcel of this.
I think you're raising a really good point there, KG. I think mental health is something that I think as Black people, we've been very, we just be like, we are fine. You understand what I mean? Which is not very building of a perspective. And it's something that we haven't been taught to take care of, that you have to take care of your mental health. I think Olim mentioned like going for a hike to clear your head. Like that is helping your mental health. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of the times we've been told you must grind, you must work, you must whatever. But you do need to take time you need to make time for yourself in that. You often hear a long time you heard the buzzword me time. That's exactly what it was, right? But I, as a female on this panelist, have to raise the sexual harassment that happens in the industry. I have to raise that. I don't know how many women there are in the room there, but there's a lot of like sexual harassment where like you have to decide how you play it, right? I am very grateful that I've never had to sleep for a job. I've never had to sleep with anyone for a job. I'm very grateful for that. But my experience is mine. Not everybody has that experience. And I think that's something that needs to be told today. When you are, when you work in TV or in eventing, it's generally male in the backside, and then like the performances and whatever, or let's say the event, like hostesses are female and stuff. So when you are rigging and doing all that stuff, you have a lot of the guys that are there, and then they're like, you know, like initially they'll hit on you and you have to just be like, bruh, it's not that kind of party. Otherwise you will sleep with everyone, and you don't want to be that girl either, right? So you have to decide how you want to be in the industry and follow that path. But you guys are like, the guys in the industry are very like sexual and like say inappropriate things, and like and I'm luckier now because I'm at a more senior level. I don't have to deal with it, right? Or I can put a stop to it. But there's a lot of like we don't behave well. The men in the industry don't behave well. I have to say that. And it's unfortunate, but I have to raise it here in this platform so that these ones who are coming up are aware that that is not the right way to act, and they have to do better and be better. No matter what they see, if they see something that is wrong, they need to call the other guys to order, because it's not fair. And that is why you will not get diversity, because the women won't stay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay in the industry to be like abused. So I will go. I will find another job where like whatever. And the other thing is, if you are career orientated as a woman, you don't actually have time to have a family. I had my first child now at 39 because I was building my career and a name for myself. I'm very privileged and blessed that I can have a child at such a late age. But I decided that that's what I was going to do, to build my career first. But you're not always going to have the opportunity to do that. But you need to respect women's choices, and you need to also allow men to be with their kids. If you're a boss, allow men to take paternity leave. Let them spend a week. I know legally it's 3 days, but let the guy spend a week with his child, you know? Let's not perpetuate the stereotype that only women are caregivers or are like whatever. Like they are the ones who should be with kids.
The men are
Kids
now
also need their
demanding 3
fathers.
months. The men are now demanding 3 months.
Kids need their fathers. And I think all of you who have grown up with both parents see the value, because you have friends who didn't. And you see how they are and how they look at the relationship you have with your folks, and like they envy you in a way. Not that it's a bad thing, but so we all know that kids need both parents. So let's try and what Rukunda is saying, looking at substance abuse, looking at substances to replenish or to like quick fix.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our day, and we hope that this was this good for you guys? Let me hear it. Clap, clap, clap. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and thank you to the organizers of the beginners. There's 20 more others, and we hope that the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture can give them more money so that we can reach other people in different places. Like go Tembisa, go Ivory, go to Vendada, Gifted Hands, collaborate Vision View, collaborate the dopest Ole here, collaborate with the project manager. Thank you to our technical that's here, all the camera ladies, by the way. We did not have cameramen, we had camera women. Yeah, that's us. And thank you to our director, thank you to our floor, thank you to our sound, thank you to our lighting, thank you to our LED screen, thank you to our cable bashers, thank you for catering. You guys have been wonderful. If I've left you out, sorry. You're probably doing double multifacets. You are somewhere there. Thank you guys. Thank you.